you think about the top owners you have worked with, what sets them apart? Maybe share a few stories along the way.
The first thing that comes to mind is the best owners are realistic, and if they're not, hands-on. I mean, we have owners of all different ages and interests. Like I said, Rich, he's up there in age, and maybe he can't go out hunting with his dog or walk a brace, that sort of thing. But he's still very interested in it. So maybe he doesn't see the dog as much as someone that's actually working with them. And they got to trust me if I tell them, this particular dog, maybe isn't stylish enough. Let's move on from it. They trust me. And they're not what we call kennel blind, where they think, well, that's my dog, and it's the greatest dog in the world, because that's not true. All these dogs are great to some level, but when you're talking about a field trial and you want to win at a high level, you got to be realistic. You got to understand what it takes to win, and if the dog doesn't physically have that or mentally have that, there's no training I can do or any trainer can do to get the dog to the next level. They have to have the physical traits and the mental capacity to handle the training. So that's the biggest thing, and the best owners are realistic, and they trust their trainer. There's many other trainers out there and their clients. You got to have that relationship where they trust you. It's not easy. It's not like, here's a dog, you put a couple training lessons in and the dog's ready to compete. It's an ongoing thing. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money people spend on their dogs. So they have to trust the trainer, and they have to trust their self too. I mean, I send them a video of their dog. You see if the tail's like this or up straight or sickle or whatever. There it is. I'm not. That's not going to change. So I think just being realistic is the most important thing for an owner when they're evaluating their dog.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
It was. I
enjoyed that one.
Never thought of that.
As far as stories, one comes to mind. One of the greatest dogs we ever had. In fact, he won 8 open championships, which is a lot. He was an English setter. His name was Taz.
I've heard of Taz.
Yeah, I was going back a ways. But anyway, Taz was owned by Phil Gould. And Taz was a very exciting young dog. Not sure, we might have ran him in a puppy trial or 2. I don't think he placed. Then came his Derby season, and he had a rough Derby season. He was a very exciting dog. He got called back in several trials, but he never. Something always happened. But I saw something in this dog that I really thought would make him a champion. He had that little special gift from God that made him special. Anyway, so his Derby season ended. He had 1 third-place Derby. That's it. We talk about other dogs that like Harper, National Derby of the Year, Bo Pineywood, and Mia last year was the Derby of the Year. Not Taz. He had a rough season. Got 1 little placement in, which qualified him, which was great, but no more. So now it was his first year shooting dog. And a lot of times those dogs struggle to compete because they're competing against much older dogs. And it's hard for them because the older dogs have the experience level. So he, again, had a very lackluster first year shooting dog. We ran him in a couple trials, didn't do much. I think he might have placed again 1 little third place. Nothing there. So that summer, Phil decided to take him to the prairies for a week or two of training with some friends. And when he came back, it was, late September, and he was very discouraged. He said, I don't think Taz is going to make it. He can't run an hour. He can't this, he can't that. He was very down on the dog. And I got upset. I was like, Phil, this is a great young dog. You got to be patient. He's going to do it. And I convinced him to stick it out with the dog. Fast forward a few months, well, about a year later, back then, the first championship of the season was always Labor Day weekend in Rhode Island. Always hot because it's Labor Day. And I took Taz up there. And I remember maybe a week before the championship, a field trialer by the name of Bob Watts. A lot of people in the cover dog world will know that name. He's had a lot. He and Dick Brenneman had dogs together, and they had a lot of great champions, Penn Star and Full Blast, and a whole line of great dogs. Anyway, he came out to train with me one day, and he said to me, "Whatever happened to that Taz dog? I saw him as a derby, and I thought he had a lot of potential." And I just looked at him and I said, "Oh, I still have Taz. He's doing good." That was it. The next week was the Rhode Island, the Woodcock Championship in Rhode Island. Went up there. I walked Taz to the line, and it was about 90 degrees. It was like 88, 89 degrees. And Phil's thing was this dog couldn't run an hour. Well, he scorched the course for an hour. He had 2 Woodcock finds and won the championship, and it was a big one. There was like 60-some dogs in it, and he blew everybody away. And from that day on, he was a threat every time I put him on the ground, and the trial wasn't over until Taz ran. And he became very consistent, ground race, bird work. He won Liberated Bird trials, grouse trials, woodcock trials. He did it all. If your trainer's telling you there's something in this dog, let's go with it. Just be patient. Just be patient, because most good trainers can see that. So that story sticks in my head. And to Phil's credit, he trusted me, and we went on to have a great career with that dog.